Silver and Ice with the Seventh Doctor. Where have I heard that before? Hello and welcome back to Madman with a Box. I'm one of the Madmen. I was Chris, here to talk about the Seventh Doctor Adventures Silver and Ice, the latest in the Seventh Doctor Adventures range. This came out on June 29th of 2022, and it's only comprised of 2 stories. You know, usually with a lot of these box sets, it's either going to be 3 stories or 4 stories. No, this is comprised of 2 stories only, mainly because the last story is essentially 2 stories worth. It's about 2 hours long, with, given the runtime of most stories now in these kind of box sets. So, as always, I'm going to go into it, try to keep as spoilers free as possible, starting off with Bad Day in Tinseltown by Dan Starkey. The Doctor and Mel drop in on the frontier town of Bright Edge, dubbed Tinseltown, after curious byproducts from its depleted mine. The mayor thinks the future lies in entertainment, but as the locals start behaving oddly, a hidden force of Cybermen has other plans. Now, this is kind of an interesting one, because the story itself is fine. It's simple, it gets to the point, the pacing of it is fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except for the cast. I would say the cast is what really bolstered this story and made me enjoy it a bit more, because the cast are kind of like almost like over the top. So we have one of the villains of this story are Carol Protraxis / General Polyjuno, voiced by Jeannie Spark. She is kind of like comically over the top. I don't know if that was the point, or was on purpose, but I really enjoyed her performance as General Juno / Patraxis, because it's like, oh, I'm the villain. I'm going to get my revenge. I'm going to use these cybernetics to create my new army. It's like very over the top villain, and I absolutely ate it up. I loved it. Like all these characters here, Mungo, voiced by the author Dan Starkey, most of you would know as Strax, the Sontaran. I really enjoyed him as Mungo because, he's the mayor, but it's like Australian businessman. I work here in the mines. I'm one of the folks. I'm here to get the votes. Like that, I really enjoyed that. And Mitzi as well is great working with the Doctor and Mel. I really enjoyed her as well. And it, like I said, the story is just fine. It's a simple, to the point Doctor Who story, but it's the cast is what will draw you into it, and I absolutely enjoyed the story because of it, just because the cast was amazing. Just different variety of kind of over the top personalities clashing in this story. So I really enjoyed this story because of it, and that leaves us onto our last story. I know, there's only 2 stories in this box set. Our last story, The Ribos Inheritance by Jonathan Barnes. The Doctor and Mel arrive expecting suntime on Ribos, but find a world still shrouded in snow and ice. But it's not just the climate that's gone awry, as forces plot against the young king, a soothsayer predicts doom. And out in the wilds, the Doctor finds Willie Conman Garen caught up in events on Ribos once again. Now, Ribos, that may sound familiar to some of you. The Ribos Operation, which was a story that kick-started the Key to Time arc during the 4th Doctor era. It also introduced Romana. I'm afraid to say I have not watched that story. I know, shocking. How dare I call myself a Whovian? That's the number 1 requirement on the list of things to be a Whovian. Watch the Ribos Operation. Okay, I'm sorry, revoke me, cancel my Whovian status. But I'm not familiar with the Ribos Operation. The character of Garen was in that. It's not portrayed by the original actor, voiced by David Rintoul is voicing Garen in this. So there is some connections there. How much it connects to the original Ribos Operation, I'm not quite sure. But by itself, the Ribos Inheritance, this was not a particularly engaging story, unfortunately. At 2 hours long, it is somewhat of a chore to listen to. it really kind of dragged along. There was nothing there that hooked me into the story. Like, the characters and everything were fine in it. It's just the pacing, what the plot was, and even the runtime really kind of dragged me down. It really did feel like a chore to listen to this story. I just was not hooked into it. I was kind of a bit let down. It's a bit weird. Like I said, usually with most of these box sets, you have either 3 or 4 stories, roughly, approximately an hour long each. This one was 2 hours. Considering how much I felt the story dragged out, I don't think it really needed to be 2 hours long. So I wasn't a big fan of this story, unfortunately. So there's not much I can really say about it. I did kind of I think 40 minutes in, I kind of just tuned out to it, and I was mainly just listening to it out of obligation. If I want to give my actual proper thoughts on this box set, I'm going to listen to all of it, all the stories. I feel kind of bad if I just stop a story and say, okay, that's just my only thoughts, because I only listen to less than half of the story. No, that doesn't seem fair. I'm going to listen to it in its entirety. So not a big fan. Kind of a bit of a downer for this story, unfortunately. But yeah, you can't win everything. Some will enjoy some stories, some won't. That's just the thing. But yeah, with the Ribos Inheritance, I didn't particularly like this one. I wasn't a big fan. There is technically is kind of a third story, but it's only available if you buy the box set, and that is the interlude, The Haunting of Brick Place by Georgia Cook. It's not a full cast audio drama like these 2 stories. It's narrated by Sophie Aldred, Ace, because the story is a Doctor and Ace adventure, and the synopsis of that is: Hackney Village, the 1540s. Brick Place is a new construction, the first house in London built from bricks, but it already has a ghost. The apparition of a young woman dressed in black walks the halls nightly, whispering strange incantations. Nobody knows what this entity is or what it is until Ace and the Doctor arrive to unlock the mystery. Now, this one was fine as well, and I enjoyed it. It was definitely a step up after listening to the Ribos Inheritance. I did like the mystery around the whole ghost story stuff. It being an audiobook, it is a bit jarring because I am mainly used to the full cast audio dramas, but I have delved into stuff like the Companion Chronicles and the Early Adventures, where it's a mix. So it is an audio drama, but there are parts where it's also narrated by the characters or the actors. So this one kind of being so I think having done that beforehand, I was a bit more used to listening to this. But regardless of that, I still at least enjoyed the story. I think it was a fine story. I was really definitely a bit more hooked into it. I wasn't going to really include this with the review because it is a kind of an optional thing, but I thought I might as well. There's only 2 stories to this box set, so I thought, don't want to end it on a kind of a downer with a somewhat negative opinion of the last story, so I thought I might as well include the interlude. So yeah, The Haunting of Brick Place, I did enjoy it. I did like that story. It was very engaging. And to rate this entire box set, I will have to include interlude out of it because it's not actually the box set itself. The box set itself is those 2 stories, so sorry, I will give a separate rating to interlude. But for the box set of Silver and Ice, I would have to give it a 6.5 out of 10. As much as I really enjoyed a Bad Day in Tinseltown because of the cast, I do have to put the Ribos Inheritance into the reflection, etc. So it is essentially a 50-50 box set, at least for me. I had one really good story that I enjoyed, and I had one story that I just could not get into. But for the interlude, the Haunting of Brick Place, I would give that a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed that. did take me kind of some time to get used to the different format for this story, with how it's portrayed, but I definitely got into it and hooked into it really quickly and enjoyed it overall. But that is it for my short discussion review of the Seventh Doctor Adventures, Silver and Ice. Thank you everyone for watching. Go check out my previous reviews, go check out the videos my co-hosts are doing, and obviously go check out the live streams. Probably live streamed yesterday, depending on when this video came out. But thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.